Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to say that we have Elliot McKenzie with us today. This is Hope for the Warriors talk show, our first live episode. I have Amanda Flenner with me, along with Elliot McKenzie, who is a Marine Corps veteran, combat veteran. And Amanda is my trusty co host. So, how are you both doing today?
I'm great. I'm great.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, no complaints here, and we're super excited to have Elliot join us, and can't wait to learn more about what you're doing, how things are going, and how you've traveled on this journey that's led you to where you're at. So, thanks for joining us.
Of
Yes.
course, my
And
pleasure.
yeah, and this month is PTSD Awareness Month. So I'm really happy that you're joining us for PTSD Awareness Month because you have quite a story to share about post-traumatic stress. And so what I'd really love it if you could do is just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so the short version is that I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I went to Iraq in 2005, came home with pretty bad PTSD, and then I've been using music along with some other things as methods of therapy to get through my post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, hyper-awareness. And due to me using music, it's given me a platform that I'm now able to use to inspire others, to write and create music that inspires others, that talks about PTSD, that brings the message of knowledge about PTSD to the table.
Mhm. Yeah, which is really neat because you and I had a great conversation the other night, and you were talking about just your story is incredible. If we could kind of rewind and go back to when you were in the military, okay, and you're deployed, some of the things that you went through, would you mind sharing any of that with us?
Yeah, sure. So I joined the Marine Corps in 2003. I was a grunt, so I was an 0311. I was in the infantry. And come 2005, my unit, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, we get deployed to Ramadi, Iraq. This was at a time when things were pretty bad in Iraq. So we get to Ramadi, and at first things are kind of calm, but then about 2 weeks into our rotation, they start to realize that the new Marines are in town because the locals could pick up on when new battalions were coming in, so they would know when we were there.
Mhm.
So they started ambushing us, started doing small arms fire. A lot was going on. So during the 7 month deployment, I experienced a lot. My one of my friends got killed. My company commander got killed in an ambush. Um, an IED exploded underneath his Humvee, and it was actually an ambush. They opened up small arms fire after the explosion. Um, I myself got blown up once. So I came home with a lot of issues. I didn't even realize I had the issues because I came home in late 2005, and my PTSD pretty much stayed dormant until about late 2007, early 2008 was
Mhm.
when my symptoms started to show themselves.
Mhm.
Um, and they started to show themselves in the form of anger issues at first. I would snap at people. Um, I was very irritable all the time. Um, I was very short with people. There were certain triggers I had that, your average person doesn't have, like being bumped into at a grocery store. If somebody had accidentally grazed my arm, I would like get really angry, things like that. And so those issues were a big part of my life back then. Like I said, luckily I've been able to use different things to get through them now. But when I first got back from 2008 to like I'd say about 2015,
Mhm.
that phase of my life was, I call it the gray area, because that was when I was in a cloud of gray that basically was PTSD, and I didn't start getting help until 2013, and then 2015 was when I finally came out of that cloud, and I've been able to do positive things since then.
Mhm. And how did you even discover that you could use music for therapy or that you found music therapeutic?
So in 2000, so basically, let me rewind again. So from 2010 to 2012, actually 13, sorry, I was in college because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. I knew that I wanted to do music. I've been doing music since I was a kid. I was a drummer in high school. I was in gospel choir in high school. So music has always been a part of my life. I've always been a singer, I guess you can say. And so in 2013, I dropped out of school because from 2010 to 2013, I was in college trying to figure out what I wanted to do with myself, using the post 9/11 GI Bill to go to school, get the BAH, and see what happened. And I couldn't get anything right. The PTSD was bothering me. The anxiety during tests was through the roof. I couldn't focus. I was failing this class, failing that class, getting D's here, F's there. Nothing was positive about the situation. And so in 2013, I decided to drop out and work and then get help through the VA. So that's when it started to turn positive. So I met a therapist through a vet center, and this therapist was really good at her job. She basically sat me down and she was like, okay, tell me exactly what's happening with you. Like, what are your symptoms? Tell me the list. And so I gave her the list and I said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing these things, but this is exactly what I'm experiencing. And so she took the list and she analyzed me over the course of, I'd say, about 2 months, just talking to me through talk therapy, keeping up with me on a daily basis.
Uh-oh. I think we may have.
I had her out. What's going on?
Go ahead.
And
Yeah.
so basically, she broke it down for me. She explained to me exactly why I was doing what I was doing. She explained the symptoms to me. And then she said, well, wait, you told me that you were a musician, right? And I said, well, yeah, I've been, singing since I was a kid, playing drums. And she said, you get adrenaline releases from, like doing music, right? Like being on stage, like, cause I guess she had a couple of friends that were also in the music industry, and they would tell her about how exciting it was to perform and this and that. And she was like, why don't you pursue music and possibly use it as a form of therapy when you get those adrenaline rushes? And then you can write music about your experiences with your PTSD to kind of maybe get the word out there or just get things off your chest. And so that's what I started doing. And music became the forefront of my therapy. I literally, what I did was I saved, I want to say about $3,000. And one day I went and I bought the equipment that I needed for a recording studio, the microphone, the speakers, the computer, the software. And then I just started writing my heart out. I started writing anytime I had, whether it was PTSD related or not, anything that I was going through, whether it was a relationship, friendship, personal, business, I would write a song about it. And that's where it started. And then fast forward to 2015. And I was basically able to write a song about my PTSD finally, because I hadn't really been able to find a way to do it. But that's when Gunshots was created in 2015. And that's when I started it. And then I put it together. And then I called TMR, the Marine rapper, last year. And I said, hey, I've got this song about having PTSD that I'm working on. Would you like to get on it? And he got on it. And then last year we finally recorded the song, did the music video, released the music video and the song, and it's been doing really well since. I think the music video has about 17,000 views on YouTube right now. I've had a ton of people hitting me up saying that the song was therapeutic for them. And so basically music has become the main thing that I use to get through what I'm going through. Because I love, like I said, performing on stage is a big one too. I call every performance that I do a mini therapy session, because that adrenaline pump that I get, that nervousness, that nervous twitch that I get right before I go up on stage or while I'm up there and I'm getting that feedback from the audience, it helps me. That endorphin release is a good thing for people like me who have PTSD. So music has been there since like 2013, pretty much.
That is amazing. And I'm sure it's not only therapeutic to you, but for people who listen to it. I've already listened to your songs on SoundCloud. Like, I went on my third time, 3 times each song this morning. Yeah, I listened to it, was that yesterday, I think, twice. And then this morning before the show. So it's really awesome. How can people listen to your music? Where can they go?
So I have a website. That's the main source, I would say, for the music. It's ElliotMcKenzie.com. I always say 2 L's, 2 T's, double up on everything. So ElliotMcKenzie.com, ElliotMcKenzie.com. And then my Instagram is Elliot_McKenzie. Again, 2 L's, 2 T's. And then I also have YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/Elliot McKenzie, that's my YouTube page. And they can watch the multiple videos about me. But again, the website's the main thing because all the stuff is on the website. My music, the videos, my bio, my story, all that stuff, photos.
I think it's interesting too that you mentioned that period of going through denial, more or less, of having PTSD. And I think that is so common across our troops coming back. We don't want to admit that we have weakness. We don't want to admit that we have PTSD. They don't want to
Right.
say, oh yeah, I'm having nightmares and I can't sleep, or that person, that brushed me or slammed something or dropped something startled me and took me back to a place that I didn't want to be. So really, until you get to that place where you realize, hey, these are my symptoms, you come to that acknowledgement of putting a name to it, that you really were able to move on. And I think that's kind of typical for a lot of people. You've got to acknowledge that, hey, I've got this, and how am I going to deal with it? Because it is easy just to keep in that place of denial, to keep pushing it down and to not acknowledging it, to try to ignore it, which really doesn't help. You went through that. And so to come out on the other side and say, hey, music is my thing that I can really use to focus and address and deal with this. That's fabulous. Phenomenal. Thanks for sharing.
Of
Now,
course. Yeah, a lot of, especially like in the Marine Corps and the Army, like the infantry guys, a lot of us are trained to tough it out, suck it up. Don't say anything if you're hurting. Don't say anything if something's wrong. And so a lot of us, when we come home and we start to realize that we might have PTSD or we start to experience symptoms, a lot of us will deny it because we want to be tough and we want to suck it up and we want to just, not say anything about it because it makes us look weak. Mm-hmm. And that's a big issue I've noticed amongst the veteran community, especially amongst like infantry veterans, is they don't want to say anything or they don't want to acknowledge the fact that they have a problem because to them that shows weakness. And we're not taught to show weakness. We're taught to cover weakness up and be strong no matter what the circumstance.
That is so true. And you did share another story with me. Right now, you're going through a little bit of a struggle because you're just finishing up college, which congratulations. I love seeing your
Thank
posts
you.
on Facebook. And oh man, you're, with your cap and gown too, you had Marine Corps veteran all over you.
I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, that draping.
That regalia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So one of the things though that you are facing is a struggle. So if you could kind of share just a little bit about that.
Yeah. So basically, I was using the GI Bill. Actually, I was going to school using voc rehab, which is exactly the same as the post 9/11 GI Bill with a few extra benefits. And so now that school's over, I'm not getting those benefits anymore. I'm not getting that monthly paycheck anymore, that BAH that I was basically paying my rent off of and living off of for the past, I don't know, 8 years that I was in school on and off. And so now I'm at the point where I'm in between school and finding a career, because right now music isn't paying the bills for me because I'm not doing music 100% full time. Even though I would love to be doing music full time as a career. So I'm in that transition of being a college graduate who's like struggling to look for a job to pay the bills. So I'm definitely in a situation right now where I could potentially, end up even in a worse situation. So it's good that I've been able to, and this is good because this is where music and therapy and all the stuff, all the coping mechanisms come in, because in a time like this, when I'm nervous all the time about my future or I'm concerned about next month's rent, like it's June 1st right now, I've got rent due in the next 3 days. I have to pay rent by the 3rd. So I'm like, but I'm using the music and the coping mechanisms that I've been given to be able to get through this, think straight, be mature, be intelligent about the decisions that I make. And so I'm going to do my best to try and get through this.
And that is really, really a big struggle that a lot of veterans are facing that isn't talked about very much. So I appreciate you sharing your struggle. But what I really would like our audience to do is go to Elliot's website, ElliotMcKenzie.com, check out his music. If you have any music connections for him, hook him up. Yeah, definitely. I know personally, I have a lot of friends in the music industry, the arts industry, and I know a lot of you out there watching may have some contacts. Pass Elliot's information along. He's located in the Los Angeles, California area, so he's up bright and early for our show today. Now, Amanda, did you have any questions for Elliot?
No, I think he's done a great job telling us his story. And,
Thank you.
we really enjoyed following you in Los Angeles this past week over Memorial Day weekend and the events surrounding that.
Yeah, that was
Just be
fun.
encouraged to keep doing what you're doing, to keep telling your story, to keep using music, because not only is it helping you, but I'm sure it's helping and touching countless others that maybe now they can chime in and leave a comment or share via your other platforms and social media, just to give them some feedback. Give them a little encouragement, because I know that's needed greatly.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
have some comments that are happening right now. Joey says Semper Fi Marine. Patricia
What's up,
says that,
Joey?
yeah, Patricia says her nephew did 4 tours. Thank you for your service. You have
Wow.
a whole lot of thumbs up, Elliot. Lots of thumbs ups. Um, and another thing that I wanted to talk about was how can other veterans pursue whatever it is that they love to do when they're battling PTSD and post traumatic stress. Sometimes it's not easy to even get out of bed.
Yeah.
So what is do you have any little tips for them who, whatever it is, if it's
Yeah.
music, maybe it's running, maybe it's just getting out of bed and trying to go volunteer someplace. What kind of tips do you have?
One thing that I've always told myself, and I tell other vets or anybody in a negative situation that's trying to get through it, is the small steps always lead to big steps. That's a big thing in my life. And so if you're, for instance, one of those people who struggles to get out of bed because maybe your depression is that bad, I've been there. One of my issues when I was in school was part of the reason why I would fail classes was because I'd have days when I was so depressed, I couldn't get out of bed and go to class. So I would miss lectures and I would miss weeks worth of information, and then I couldn't study for the test because I wasn't in class. So I've been there. I know what it's like to struggle at that level. Um, I've been homeless before. From 2008 to 2009, I was homeless. I was living at a transitional housing facility for veterans. So I would say take the small steps and then the big steps will come after them. Like, for instance, an example from my life was buying that recording studio equipment, saving that money. So I knew that I needed a recording studio at home because it's financially cheaper to buy your own equipment and just record yourself versus paying for studio time at a big recording studio. So I was like, okay, the first step in doing that is I need the equipment. That's a small step. The big step is the big picture, which is pretty much where I'm trying to get to now. But back then, I was basically at the point where I was like, okay, the first step is this, knock out that first step, and then take baby steps from there and just keep progressing. And before you know it, that small step is now a step that's this big, and you've gotten this far. And then by a year from now, it's 10 times that big. So do the little steps and they'll get to the big steps, is probably what I would say. Definitely.
And I love that because, I am on your Facebook. We're Facebook friends. We're friends. And
Yeah.
I've watched just how much you've progressed even in the last couple of weeks because Mackenzie, I call you your last name, sorry. I'm sure
It's
you're
all
used
good.
to it though, military, right?
Yeah.
So, though, where I was going with this is that when I first contacted you to be on the show, it was super cool. And then the next thing you know, like I'm looking at your Facebook blow up with you were invited to an event in Los Angeles. So what was that about?
Yeah, so I'm part of a company called Veterans in Media and Entertainment, which is basically a company that facilitates for veterans who are in the music industry, the acting, film industries, and they basically set us up with stuff. So like they have monthly meetings where they invite like celebrities from the entertainment world to come in and do like panels. They'll give us casting calls for TV shows, for movies, music opportunities, things like that. And I have a close friend who's in that company, who is the music director. And he will constantly send me emails about, hey, there's this gig, there's that gig. there's this, there's that going on. And so he emailed me about that show and said, hey, would you like to perform? They're looking for a veteran musician to perform on Memorial Day. And I thought of you, and I was like, of course, because I'm always up for opportunities. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he logistically set it up, and then I performed, and it ended up going great. LA Times ended up doing a story on myself and two other veterans who were there. Um, I ended up making some more contacts in the music industry while I was there, and so things are looking up. I mean, like I said, I want music to be my full-time job, and eventually I'll get there. But for now, I'm where I am, and that event helped me a lot because it not only gave me a little bit of exposure, but it was an event hosted by the County Department of Mental Health. So it also raised awareness for PTSD amongst veterans too, because I gave information about being a veteran with PTSD before I started performing. And so I actually had a lot of people approaching me at the event asking questions about being a veteran with PTSD, what it's like to go to combat. I had a friend, somebody who is now a friend, who was a veteran. He's an Army veteran in the audience watching me perform. And he was crying after he came up to me and started talking to me because he said that what I said and what my story is represented to him touched him. So I'm glad that I'm able to touch people like that. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me since like gunshots came out, and since I've been getting a little bit more attention from gunshots and what I do in my story and graduating college and overcoming PTSD. And I've had a lot of people that have hit me up saying positive things about how my story has inspired them and put them in places that they weren't before. And so I'm really glad that I'm able to do this kind of stuff.
Hmm. Which is amazing. And, I'm so proud of you. I
Thank
really
you.
am. I mean, some of the things that you've talked about, even today on the show, are really difficult topics to talk about. And
Yeah.
not everybody likes to share their struggle. And it's amazing. It's like double amazing to me that you can take time out to not only explain to our audience, but then to sing about some of your experiences and to get on stage and then also to take time to talk to your fans about it. That's huge.
Yeah, I
So,
feel like that's what needs to be done. I feel like I've been given this platform and this talent so that I can give back. And when I was starting to think about how I was going to use my music as therapy, and when I started to realize that it was catching on and that people were paying attention, I thought to myself, I need to use this as a way to inspire others. And that's what I've dedicated my music life to now. I want to be able to use my music as a platform and my, I guess, not popularity, but the fact that people know me now for what I've done in my story. I want to be able to use that as a platform to inspire others, veterans or not veterans, because I've had so many people who are civilians hitting me up, just going through problems in their lives and saying that they read my story on my website, or they saw me on the news, or they saw me in concert and they heard my story and it inspired them. And so that's my goal now, is to continue to be able to use my platform to inspire as many people as possible.
mhm. And it helps that you have a really great voice.
Yeah, it does, and thank you very much. It does, and like I said, I see my voice and my gift as a talent that I've been given to be able to give back. So that's what I want to do now, is use my music and my performances as a way of giving back to other people. It's not
That's
about me anymore. It's about everybody else.
your whole life has been of service, though. I mean, look at you in the Marine Corps. You're giving back, and it's always about somebody else. And I think that that's one thing. One of your traits that is really admirable is that you have so many struggles yourself. Yet you're just looking past that, and you're just helping other people, and you're giving other people hope. And I do want to tell people who are watching and listening that Hope for the Warriors offers free counseling. For veterans, post 9/11 veterans. We offer so many different services. So go to the website, hopeforthewarriors.org, and listen to our shows and educate yourself, educate other people, but also look at the services that are offered. We offer so many different services. So thank you, Elliot.
Of course.
And I do want to give a shout out to Heroes Media Group, who is giving us this platform to use this morning. So thank you to Heroes
Yeah,
Media
of
Group.
course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Amanda, do you have anything else to add?
Just, keep being encouraging. I think that's the biggest thing, because your story is real, it's powerful, and so many can relate. And, we just want to acknowledge that. And again, just thank you for not only for your service, but for keeping on and maintaining that positivity and trying to look on the bright side when it doesn't always have to be easy or the first choice. So I just look forward to seeing the comments and the feedback, and we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's my goal, is to bring out the positivity in the negative situations that I might experience, and then help others do the same thing. Like I said, I want to be able to give back, and I want to be able to inspire other people to do the same things that I've been able to do, no matter what their circumstances are. If you're a college student that's struggling in school and you don't think you're going to be able to graduate, you will graduate. You're going to get there, one way or another. I had to drop out for 2 years. It's taking me 8 years to get a bachelor's degree. I started college. The first time I stepped on a college campus was 2010, and I just graduated last week or 2 weekends ago. So 8 years later, I'm graduating. So never give up. You know what I mean? Always keep pushing.
Absolutely. So everybody, make sure you go check out Elliot's website. Check him out on Instagram and Facebook, and check out our hopeforthewarriors.org if you're interested in more of Hope for the Warriors services that they offer, like counseling and other types of assistance for veterans, for caregivers. You can join Patty and I in our caregiver group. You can find us there in a very private and positive space as well. So
Yes. And you can continue to comment after the show ends today. This is live. However, it will be also featured on our YouTube channel later on and in a podcast form. So thank you, Elliot, so much for joining us. And I hope to do a follow-up with you when you're huge, just huge, because I know it's going to happen. You're awesome.
Hopefully, we'll see.
You're awesome. You're really great. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Everybody
Of
have a
course,
great
thanks
day.
for bringing me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
anytime.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
All right. Bye.